Prepositional verbs. We've been discussing prepositional verbs and particles, and we have seen that there is sometimes a difference between the usage of two, the way they are used in a sentence, and sometimes we get confused whether it's a preposition or a particle. Let's talk a little further on this topic. If we look at these word strings like pray for, look for, hope for, and rely on, so apparently they seems phrasal verbs or verb with a preposition. So whether the preposition is the particle relating to the verb or preposition, so this is to be determined. Let us compare the verbs in the following three examples. Mary Ann arrived after breakfast. So we have after. So we can say that after relates to breakfast instead of arrived. Similarly, she brought in the times. We have discussed on this sentence that in is a particle. It relates to the verb bring, not to the noun phrase the times. And similarly, the vicar can rely on Mary Ann. So what is it? On is on relates to rely on to Mary Ann. So this is to be determined. So whether on behaves like the previous two one or it's different. We have seen after infant goes with breakfast. We have established that into belongs to the verb bring, not to the noun phrase the times. So we have seen this 8a previously, right, which has the structure that noun phrase we have arrive as a verb, right, and after breakfast is the prepositional phrase. After is the preposition and breakfast is the prepositional noun, and both make a prepositional phrase. So similarly, 8b, we have already seen this, that bring in is a phrasal verb, right? In is a particle. It belongs to the verb, not to the noun phrase, that is the direct object as well, the times. In some respects, rely on behaves like arrive, whereas in other aspects or respects, it behaves like bring in. That is to say, that it is a preposition or it is a particle. So to see this, let us apply test 1 to 8 as well as verb gapping test to sentence 3, right, rely on. These tests have been applied above to distinguish between verb plus prepositional phrase, string, and phrasal verbs. So you have seen that in detail we discuss tests, right? So 1 and 4 test, like both on Mary Ann, which is a prepositional phrase, and Mary Ann, which is a noun phrase, can be fronted. So on Mary Ann, the vicar can rely. And in 4b, where Mary Ann is a noun phrase, Mary Ann, the vicar can rely, right? So it's also style when some noun from the direct object is brought into the beginning for its right, for the sake of emphasis or fronting. The test 2 and test 7, both on Mary Ann and Mary Ann, may serve as the focus element X. In a cleft sentence, it is on Mary Ann that the vicar can rely, and it is Mary Ann that the vicar can rely on. So if you see that rely on behaves a little bit different from the previous sentence 1 and 2. Sometimes it seems to be close to sentence 1 and sometimes to sentence 2. So test 3, on Mary Ann cannot be replaced by a pro form like then and there, but Mary Ann can be replaced by a pronoun. The vicar can rely then and there. It's not possible. The vicar can rely on her. Yeah, it's possible. It's a correct sentence. So 6b is possible, right? the sixth is, on Marianne cannot be questioned by a WH word like when or where, but Marianne can be questioned by a WH word like who and whom. So we cannot say when, where can the vicar rely, but we can use it. Who can the vicar rely on, or whom can the vicar rely on? So if we take test 5, on Marianne may be separated from the rest of the sentence by an adjunct. The vicar can rely wholeheartedly on Marianne. So we can see that rely and on can be separated with an adjunct like wholeheartedly. But vicar can rely on wholeheartedly Marianne. We cannot bring this wholeheartedly adjunct between rely on and its direct object. Test 8. The word order of Marianne cannot be changed into Marianne on. The vicar can rely Marianne on. We cannot move it to the end of the sentence. Let's look at verb gapping that gives the following result. The vicar can rely on Marianne and Mrs. Carey can rely on Phillips. Right? So vicar can rely on Marianne and Mrs. Carey on Phillips. So it's a correct sentence. Right? The vicar can rely on Marianne and Mrs. Carey Phillips. So it will be an incorrect sentence. So here we need on. So again, it makes the situation indeterminate. So the conclusion is that the structure of the verb phrase with rely on is difficult to determine. Whether it's a phrasal verb or it's a verb with preposition is difficult to determine. According to certain tests, the string rely on NP is like a one-word verb followed by a preposition test. If we see test 1, 2 and test 8 and verb gapping, in which it seems that it's like one word, we cannot separate it. However, according to other tests, it is like a two-word verb followed by a noun phrase. So if we look at test 3 and 4, test 6 and 7, so we find that it's a two-word verb followed by a noun phrase. So noun phrase Marianne is different noun and rely on is one combination. So we have applied a test on this construction rely on, and we have found that it is not similar to either sentence 1 in which we have arrived after the breakfast and the sentence 2 brought in the times, right? So it's different. It's difficult to determine the exact position of the of this verb plus preposition, which is rely on.